fucking road. Shift cable broke. So, yeah. In case you guys didn't know, eBay shift cables, they're fucking garbage. Driving down the road. Not on the clutch. It's just, yeah, she broke. So as you've seen, yeah, it's been broken. And it's been a while since I've, had a video on this. Mostly just because I've had so many problems with it breaking, obviously saw the shift cable, which wasn't that long ago, but the transmission has been grinding, ever since quite a while ago when I turned it up and you guys have seen that. Among other things, I've got, the clutch has never been right in this car. It always has just felt like it always grabbed. It just, for some reason, it has way more pressure than it has any business having, and I hate it. And that might actually be part of the reason that the transmission started grinding. And I don't know if that is it or not, that combined with the crappy shift cables. But we're going to fix all that today. I've got a hell of a lot of work today to do. Obviously, I got to pull the engine back out to swap the transmission, the clutch, all that stuff. Because you can't just pull the transmission in this car. You have to pull all of it because there's not enough room. Yeah, so we're going to dive into it, and hopefully we can get this all back together in a timely manner. Let's get to it. Hey guys, I got picked up all this stuff from a guy off Marketplace. Obviously, I got extra parts I don't really need right now, but I got I got the shift cables and a shift box, and I'm gonna end up just throwing both those in here because I talked to my buddy and he said that that's honestly the best bet compared to what I have in there. So I'm gonna do that, and now I got extra parts, and I've also got this intermediate shaft for the K1 Attack. So that's nice. I don't know if that's actually the one I need, but it's now I've got like every style, so I'll have many options. So I started tearing it apart, and you can kind of see here where the problem is. Yeah, that'll make it not shift, that's for sure. All right, so I got those old cables out there, and I'm starting to look at the new cables, and I kind of started to realize that I got a couple problems. One of them is that the cable I got from this guy is actually the sleeve is broke, so I'll have to glue this or something and hope it works. If not, I guess I'm gonna have to replace the cables. It's really stupid because I just got these, but also the bushings are missing for the ends of this, so I had to order some of those. At least the brackets on there, because it wasn't going to work with the billet one. And then these shifters, I was going to switch to a stock shifter, which is my original plan, but now I'm thinking I'm going to have to use this unless I want to change a bunch of shit up to make this work, because I was actually mounting this shifter through these holes here, because these ones don't reach. I actually ended up cutting these off because I didn't have enough room. Well, that isn't really an option with a factory shifter. I pretty much have to go through those holes. So unless I want to mount it like underneath, which would be nice in the future, I suppose, at the moment I think I'm just gonna have to throw this back in there and hope it works. All right, guys, so engine trans out. That's good. I've got a heater hose back in there. One of them is kind of soft. I'm gonna have to replace that, so I'm gonna have to go to the parts store. So now I've been sitting here staring at this stuff for a while, and I started doing some math and trying to figure out what was going on. So I don't know if I told you guys this yet, I can't remember, but so I got a Honda Element tranny. It's a 2-wheel drive one that is gonna work perfectly because the outer case is the same as a K20. And since I don't have the same mount that like Civics have, it's gonna work. It's gonna go right in there. It looks like all the shifter and everything, it's gonna mount up exactly the same. So that's solid. However, I checked the math, and this transmission is extremely short geared. It has a 4.764 final drive, and the RSX only has like a 4.3. So this thing is going to be screaming like all the time. I checked the math. So the math is telling me basically if I'm going down the road at like 80 miles an hour, like on the interstate, whatever, this thing is going to be cranking out like 4,700 RPMs in 5th gear, which is like a lot. And the more I kept thinking about it is that I was already having problems with it. Felt like it was too short geared. It felt like I was shifting too much. I was already having spinning problems. I already have a ton of torque because I'm running nitrous and a supercharger and all this stuff. So now the debate is, do I not use this engine anymore because I have that other transmission? I'm starting to think I should pull this K20 out of the K1 Attack. Because if I put the K20 in the Mini Cooper with that Element transmission, it will solve a lot of issues. One of them being I will have more RPM. I'll be able to rev it a lot higher. And that will actually, at the same time, give me more boost. Because obviously the faster you spin a supercharger, the more boost you have. So, like right now in the K24, I was running like 8 pounds of boost. So I'll probably be up around 10 or 11, something like that. Maybe even 12 pounds. I don't know, with the K24 pulley. So I'd have more top end power, and then it would also reduce the torque down low, which would reduce spinning. And also, since it has a better, rod stroke ratio, that would be better on it when I'm cruising down the highway, fucking cranking out crazy RPMs. It's, cause yeah, it's not good. Yeah, and I won't have to shift as much during racing. So I'm kind of leaning towards something. I'm going to pull this engine out and put it in here. That does mean I'm probably not going to finish it today because there's a couple differences. One of them being all the coolant stuff is different. So on the K24, this coolant housing is on the side. On the K20, it doesn't have this housing. Their housing is on the front. And then the new problem is to use this intake manifold, I'm going to have to cut the intake manifold because it doesn't work. So I'll have to cut this. And then I'm going to have to get a different housing for a K20 that has this radiator cap situation on it. So I have to order one of those. And then also the radiator hose comes out this direction instead of that way. So I'm going to have to get a different radiator hose. I think the heater hoses will still work the same, but this port here is actually here on a K20. So it'll be in a little bit different location. But I think this is actually going to solve a lot of problems that I've had in the past. One of them being this thing is constantly leaking all the time, and I hate it. The other problem being is that there's not a lot of room between this and the battery box. There's zero room. I mean, it works, but there's zero room. So by deleting this and running the K20 situation, there's gonna be more room here. There's also not gonna be this reverse lockout switch. It doesn't have that, so that clears up a little bit of room. I mean, granted, it's not that big of a deal. It also moves the, speed sensor is gonna be on the front with the Element tranny. So that's gonna move, put that in a different location. So yeah, at the moment, I think that might be the plan. So shit, I guess let's get to pulling the engine out of that. Fuck. Okay, engine and trans are out of there. Obviously I took that off of there. Went a little bit smoother than last time. I think now I kind of know how to get it in and out a lot easier. But back to this car. So this is the engine that's going in. So now I've got to do a bunch of screwing around because I got to take the oil pan off of this, swap it off the other one. I'm gonna pull the I'm gonna pull the timing cover off because I've got a timing chain guide I want to put on it. I need to swap out the crank pulley. Yeah, I need to put the clutch and flywheel and all that stuff on it. But in order to do that, first I need to get this piece of shit K24 off of here so I can put the K20 on here so I can actually work on it. So that's my first order of business. Get the K20 on the stand. The reason it's so close to the engine bay is because I can't get this crank pulley off. So I've been using the car to hold the, hold bar. The problem is it's still not moving. So I guess we're gonna try torching it and hope for the best. Fuck. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Hell yeah. All right, got the front cover off, oil pans off, and basically I took the front cover off because I wanted to put one of these chain guides in there. I had it from a leftover from another build, and yeah, I'm gonna throw that on there and then reseal everything. I'm gonna end up getting a new front main seal, rear main seal, and yeah. So I had a leak from one of these heater hoses and I pulled it off, and you can kind of see right there that heater hose connection is like all bent in. I don't know when that happened, but apparently it's been like that for a long time because it was seeping from there. And I think that was the whole coolant leak that I had. So I guess I just need to straighten this out and yeah, put the hose back on there. That's really dumb. All right, the K20 is all back together, ready to go. Resealed the oil pan, front cover. I got new seals for the VTEC solenoid. Put all the parts back on, resealed the VTC plate, so she should be good to go. New oil filter, all that stuff. Oh, and then I adjusted the valves. I did all this without filming it because I figured you guys have seen it enough, you know, because I've done it in other videos. But yeah, so it's ready. Now I just need to get it onto that platform with my ceiling hoist, which I don't know if I guess I did have a video of this thing before with the K1 Attack, but this thing is so awesome. God, I love that I have this in here. But yeah, I'm gonna lift it off of here and put it on there so I can put the clutch, flywheel, rear main seal, all that stuff on there, and then get the trans on. Okay, so I got the rear main seal in. Now I've got my new flywheel and clutch. So this time around, I actually decided to go with the twin disc, mostly because, well, the clutch that I had before, it was grabbing fine, but it just never felt right. Like it seemed like there was entirely too much pressure to actually push the clutch down. Like there's something wrong with the the diaphragm on the frickin' pressure plate or something. In any case, so the twin disc, I think it's actually going to give me better engagement with the gears, and I'm hoping that it'll shift better, basically, because that other one, I'm kind of wondering if that other clutch is actually partially what caused the gear set to go out. Not to mention with the shift cables not being very good and all that nonsense. But so I've got this twin disc. So this is actually it's a cheaper brand, which normally I wouldn't have tried this, but I was talking to somebody who is very well known to have nobody's talking about when it comes to Hondas. So I have it on good authority that this clutch is actually really good, even though it's cheap. So we're gonna run it. Yeah, let's get to taking it out of here and put it on the engine. Okay, flywheel is torqued down, and now I need to put this clutch assembly on there so you can kind of see all the little stacks. Got all these separate plates and stuff. If you've never seen a twin disc, you got like two different discs in there, and then you got these other metal plates in between. And basically, you got to make sure they're in the right order. It tells you if you forget. It didn't come with the alignment tool, which kind of sucks, but it doesn't really matter because I've got 50 billion of them because I've done so many Honda clutches. But yeah, so basically we're going to put the alignment tool in there, make sure we're all squared up. Then we're going to slide it on there and put some Loctite on these bolts. It says it wants some red Loctite, so we're going to do that. and torque it down to spec. Just wanted to show you guys this. These clutch alignment tools, this is maybe, I bet it's not even 25% of the clutches I've done over the years. So I've thrown so many away. But this is a nice handy trick. You just get yourself a coat hanger and slide them on there, and anytime you need one, you can just pull it apart and grab one. Super, super convenient. All right, guys, so now I've got the throw-up bearing from this twin disc setup, and it's actually quite a bit different than the OE one, which is kind of interesting. I mean, obviously it's because the depth is probably different or whatever, but yeah, I needed to put this on there, and then normally I just put just like, brake grease or whatever, a little bit in here, and then a little bit on the spline just to help it go in. But I'm actually going to use, I usually don't use this too often because it's expensive stuff, but this is like Porsche Extreme Grease. We used it at Porsche for the same thing, for on splines and stuff, to make it go home. And it works really good, but this bottle is, I can't even remember how much it is, but it's a lot. But yeah, we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna get the transmission on the engine. All right, I think we're just about ready to go in the car. I got, obviously it's all bolted together, intermediate shafts on. I swapped out the detent springs from the other one, which I totally forgot, but there's actually 3 long ones in that one. This one has, it's like a 2 long, 1 short deal. I don't know, but it didn't work. So I used 2 of those springs, so it'll work. In any case, yeah, let's put it in. So we're having problems, which I had a feeling. So because this is an element tranny, it has provisions for a transfer case right there. And the end of this case actually sits out a little bit further than the old transmission, and I'm hitting the subframe down there. I'm also getting close to hitting the steering rack, and I have to go back quite a ways. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start by, I'm going to mark the subframe and I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to take a look at this plate and see how much metal I can realistically take off the back of that transmission that doesn't matter. And yeah, I'm going to go from there. Okay, so not going to lie, I totally forgot to mark the subframe because I was too busy taking the video. But it was hitting somewhere in here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this all the way up into here, over, and basically just cut that whole fucking section out. And then on the back of this, it looks like I can probably take this whole section out of here, because that's literally just a bolt, and that really isn't going to matter. Obviously I can't go too far this way because it's got this bolt for this plate, but I think that section can at least come out of there, so that might give me some room. I didn't cut quite as much as I originally said I was going to. I just cut this first edge off, mostly because I started cutting it and I was like, holy shit, this is thick, because of course it is, it's a subframe, but I cut that part. And then I cut this ear off, cut it in quite a bit. Yeah, I'm gonna retest fit and see see how we're looking. I know I'm gonna have to cut some more. I just wanted to see how close we are. But unrelated to anything else, check out how perfectly this thing just lined up with that. I was just walking by and I was like, oh, that's weird. It's like it's meant to be like that. That fucking thing and the bumper is so weird. Okay, so this time I did mark it. So now you can kind of see where it's sort of hitting. So I think I'm just gonna cut as far over here as I can and over to here and just try to notch this whole section out of there. It's getting pretty close to the steering rack. I don't know. I definitely need to take this whole ridge off the best I can because it's definitely in the way. This is starting to it's getting close. Hopefully it's not an issue, but we're gonna take this off first, cut that other section, see what happens. Okay, got a lot more aggressive that time. I actually unbolted this, moved it out of the way, and cut that huge notch out of there. And then I cut a good portion of this off of there. It's possible I might have to grind it down more, but let's try it again. All right, this time I went ham. I cut a lot bigger. Cut way over here, all the way back in there. Yeah, I cut out a shitload this time. Hopefully this is enough. I kind of wonder if I'm gonna have to cut a little more over here, but I think at the moment, it's good enough to try. And then I grinded this down a hell of a lot more to see what we got to go with on this one. Okay, so we've definitely reached the big problem. So this all clears down here now, no problem. Now we're hitting the rack somewhere in here. I don't know how much I can cut into that. I mean, I guess I could lop this whole thing off and then just weld it, I suppose, but God, I really didn't want to do that. Shit. I'm gonna take this cover off, see what it looks like in there, see how much I can realistically cut out of there. Maybe I can get by with just 3 ears or something so it still seals. I don't know. Okay, so this is what it looks like in there. It's got an O-ring, so technically I could probably lop off both of those ears if I needed to, and it would probably still seal. However, I don't know if that's gonna give me enough room. It seems like the engine needs to go back a decent amount more to actually get the bolts in there. The other thing is if I lop these two off and sometime in the future I decide to go all-wheel drive, that's a problem because I'm probably gonna have to get another transmission because I wouldn't trust running 2 bolts on a transfer case. But in order to run all-wheel drive, I would have to relocate this. I would have to cut that whole center section out of the subframe, raise the steering rack up quite a lot, and then I'd have to go turbo. That, or get a different header made or something because it won't work anymore. It'll hit the rack really bad. So yeah, I don't know. I really want to stay supercharged, so I don't think I'm planning on doing that, but it would be nice to leave the option open. I think I'm gonna reassess. I think I'm going to try and put it back in the car again, see exactly where it's hitting, see exactly how much room I have, how much more I need to cut, and then go from there. Because, yeah, I don't want to go too far with it. I mean, I think, that other transmission, I'll have to look at it a little bit closer, but I'm guessing that it probably hugs the diff pretty close. So, like, all of this just isn't there. And that's probably, yeah, it could be a problem. Because obviously, if I got to cut all the way into here, I'm going to have to weld some shit or swap cases or something. And I really don't want to do that. So, yeah, let's test it again. Okay, so this is where I'm at now. So there's a chance I'm gonna have to raise the rack up just to get this transmission clear. So at the moment, there's a part of the rack that's hitting right here. Now I'm fairly certain I can chop this off and it'll clear there, and I should be okay in that section. The other part it's hitting is somewhere, or it hasn't hit yet, but it's about to hit somewhere in here. Obviously I can trim as much of this webbing as I need, but right here, I can't go any further. So I think, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to raise the rack, because the rack is like, it looks like if I was to raise it up like a 1/4 inch or so, it would make it past this little hump and it'd be into this webbing. So I can cut this out and I'd probably be okay. I hope. I think the first plan of action is I'm gonna chop this off. Then I'm gonna see where exactly we're hitting and then how much it's gonna have to go up. So the rack, I don't think it'll be that big a deal to raise it because it's basically just bolted on stand. So I just need some longer bolts, some spacers, raise it up, whatever. The only thing I'm kind of concerned about, which I don't know if you can see it, is you can kind of see it there, is the steering joint. I can only go so far before I'm going to be pretty far into the, you know, that rubber up there. So I don't want to contact that too much. Yeah, so first things first, chop that ear off. Man, it's close now, guys. Like, honestly, it's really close. I think I mean, the engine's got to rotate a little bit, and I think it would go in. Yeah, the only problem is I know that this engine, I've got to torque it that way to tighten it down, so hopefully that isn't a problem, but I think I just need to do a little bit more grinding, and then it might clear. Still might have to raise the rack. I don't know, we'll see. Oh man, guys, we're getting somewhere. It's actually like held in there. I gotta pull it out one more time, but it's really close. There's just one tiny spot that's just about to hit down there by the transfer case spot. And then I did notice this hose for the cooler is touching the frame right here. So I'm gonna have to hammer that in some more, which is fine because actually I needed to hammer it in some more anyway to get the belt on and off. It's a pain in the ass. Yeah, one more time. All right, guys, well, it's bolted in. Unfortunately, I have a new problem. Of course I do. The lower mount, I can't get it in the position that I had it, which I did that specifically to rotate the engine so that the EP3, the idler pulley, wouldn't hit the hood. And now I can't get it all the way into that position. I can get it like another 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch, I don't know, something like that. Further off, which I'd have to cut and, you know, re-drill it, which I can do that, but then I'm probably going to be hitting the hood again. So I might have to clearance the hood even more, which I'm really not too fond of. Either way, I'll figure it out. And then the reason it's not rotating back is basically if I can't rotate all the way back because that spot on the diff that I can't grind into is hitting the rack. Yeah, so that's fun. But in any case, I'm gonna call that it for today, because holy crap, I've done so much work this weekend on this car. I feel like I didn't get very far, but I guess it was a lot of custom work and, you know, messing with stuff that wasn't like that before. So plus, I mean, I got to order parts, so it is what it is. But yeah, we're going to call it a day. And yeah, just make sure you guys like, subscribe, do all the things, and peace out.